There we go. All right, guys, we are live here on episode 2 on Echo Means Business. A little takeover here. Get to know the pro live. Again, episode 2. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching the replay later on if you couldn't make the live broadcast. What we're going to be talking about here, it's the second year of lawn care landscaping businesses. I have special guests. I have Daniel Hood with Hood's Cut-Rite Lawn. Is that right, Daniel?
Yep.
All right. And then I'm also joined by Kevin. Kevin, how do you pronounce your last name?
Blackmer.
Blackmer. All right. Kevin Blackmer with Texas Veteran Lawn Service, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So if you just want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Daniel.
Dan Hood. I'm in the Central Illinois area. I technically started my business back in 2011, just doing it kind of part-time after work, and grew that into last year being my first official year of doing this full-time. So I'm just starting into my second season. Learned a lot last year and still learning a lot.
Okay. What were some of your motivations or inspirations for starting your own business?
This is a business that I've wanted to run, honestly, since I was a child. Mowing grass in high school, I just really enjoyed doing the work and fell in love with it. But my motivation for going full-time when I did was a unique opportunity that I was presented with by a fellow landscaper here in town that I've known for a long time. And he was wanting to get away from doing maintenance and just do hardscaping. And so he was willing to kind of softly input me into his maintenance division and pass those customers over to me, which made it possible for me to make the hard transition from part-time to full-time with a bit more confidence because I knew I had a certain book of business to go into.
Awesome. Good stuff. And how about you, Kevin? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Military veteran. That's kind of where I got the name for the business.
Good job. Thank you for your service. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I started the business. I literally woke up 2 years ago, shortly after I divorced the second time. And I said, I'm going to start a lawn business. I mean, I woke up in the middle of the morning. That's what we're going to do. And at that time, I was living at mom and dad's house. I moved back there after I divorced. And all I had was just, a $99 Murray push mower, an electric trimmer, electric weed eater, and an electric blower to do our yard. And so I got on YouTube, started looking up how to do this, how to do that. And then I saw Top Notch Lawns with Brian with his cool yellow machine. I'm like, dude, that is awesome, but I can't afford $13,000. And so started watching him and Andy with Cut and Clean Lawn Care. So between those two guys in 1 week, that very next morning, I just posted an ad on Craigslist, and that's just how I got started.
Awesome. That's great, man. That's another testament right there to how YouTube/social media just kind of helped, in some way, form or fashion. I mean, I've heard so many different versions of that story, so that's awesome. So what's changed for you, Kevin, what's changed from year one to now? Like, when you said you couldn't start right off with that kind of equipment, things like that. What's your setup look like now versus what you first started?
Well, the first year, I just used whatever I had. And so if I had my electric stuff, my extension cords out there running while I'm doing the lawn, that's what I had. Within 1 month, I had enough money to buy a Husqvarna 322L trimmer. And then after that, the next month, I had enough money to buy a hand blower. And then I just kind of graduated from there. And then everything I bought was brand new. Then I bought a Troy-Bilt flex machine. That was after I went through 5 different Husqvarna models in 45 days because they kept breaking. And so each time I went back, they were like, why don't you pay a little bit more and get this model? I'm like, really? So I ended up getting the $900 flex machine and mowed 2,000 lawns my first year and a half.
Wow.
And so I done sold that machine. And then I went last year, I had a Toro MX 5050, bought it, used it 30 hours, got rid of it, didn't like it. I had the Kubota Z121S, same thing. Although I did like that one though. And then I had a Kubota WG14, 36-inch walk behind with a sulky. I had an Encore 32-inch with the dual wheel sulky. The single wheel sulky is so much better than the dual wheel, by the way. And then I had the Toro 3225, and then I sold all of those and bought a Ferris Z1 36 brand new, and I already have 70 hours on it, and I bought it the tail end of summer last year. And that thing does everything for me. My multiple acre properties, my small, anything that my mower will fit through the gate, I'll do it. And then I bought a Snapper 21-inch push mower with a bagger, so that way properties that I do fertilizing on in a program that I do throughout the whole year, it's about 6 applications, I use that mower only. So that way I can bag the grass, it's razor sharp blades and this and that, and I don't use it for anything else. So between those 2 mowers and then the other various trimmers and whatnot, that's where I'm at. That's all I need.
Awesome. Daniel, what about you? Has there been, have you changed your setup in any way from year 1 to now?
We've added to it. My inspirational first buys were Blake Albertson with B&B Lawn Care. I watched him a lot on YouTube, and when he fell in love with his Skag, I went to my Skag dealer, and the first thing that I got was a 48-inch Skag Tiger Cub. It was the floor demo model, so I got a good deal on it because it already had some hours on it, but I still got the full warranty and all that stuff. That machine has over 3,000 hours on it now, and knock on wood, we've done no major repairs to that whatsoever. Original engine, spindles, it has been my absolute baby. But last year when we decided to go full time, I had several yards already, but then a lot more of the new ones that had gates that I couldn't get my 48 through. So I ended up with a 36-inch right stander. I went with the stander I. And that has saved me so much time over push mowing these backyards, that I couldn't get the 48 through the gate. And I think last year we actually put more hours on our 36 than I put on my 48. So I agree with Kevin. I mean, you can do just about anything you want to do. And if I had to pick one machine and only one machine to be on my trailer, as much as that Skag has been a trooper, the stander style 36 is more versatile and almost just as productive as a sit down style 48. So, and then we started out with all Echo equipment, even far before I was a UAG member. That just seemed to be the stuff that I liked and the stuff that I got the most value out of. So 225s, we started budget friendly, in the low end, but the Echoes had the better warranty and seemed to do better with my dealer network and things around here. So that's really the big change. We upgraded to a bigger trailer so we could put a second mower on it, and got that small mower and just mowed and mowed and mowed and mowed. I think we put 190 hours, if I remember right, on that stander last year, and I got it in mid to late June, early July, and we quit here about October. So, I mean, we ran the crap out of that thing the back half of the year.
Awesome.
That's a lot of hours.
It is. It basically never shut off, I don't think.
Jeez.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So Kevin, what are some lessons that you've learned from year 1?
Well, some of the lessons that I learned is you don't have to spend a lot of money to get customers. So in the beginning, I was spending a little bit of money to try to get some customers and whatnot. And after I started getting those flow of customers, then I stopped spending money. And so now with the reviews that I get, I don't spend a single dollar in marketing, advertisement, nothing, no door hangers, no nothing. And now I don't have to take all the properties where I took the first year. I was taking anything. I was traveling an hour and a half just so I can get back to where I used to live so I can cut grass. So I'd get up at 5 in the morning, and then I'd be at my first property at 7:30, hour and a half later drive. Okay. And when I first started, I was cutting 2 or 3 properties. That was it. And then I'm done for the day. And so, for that first year and a half, it grew. Within 6 months, I already had 60 customers. And, but you don't have to. I bought a lot of equipment that was commercial, And I figured out that you don't have to spend a lot of money in equipment that's commercial to get good stuff. You just have to get the right stuff, and then make sure, you're not too hard on it. So if you want something that's going to do the job, but you don't want to spend, $13,000 for something, find out what you can get, because really, it's what the individual does with the equipment actually makes the difference. It's not the equipment itself. So, if I'm out there and I'm, making a yard look fantastic, I can do it with any mower, really, or any trimmer. So I really didn't have any setbacks. I didn't do credit cards, cash, check, or Zelle pay. That was it. I had no late payments with anybody. When I was done mowing, I made a phone call. Hey, we're done. That's really about it. I guess I just lucked out with how everything kind of fell into place, really.
Yeah.
With some guys just had a hard time with that first year, and I guess I just didn't.
Yeah. Well, there's many more years to come. So it kind of evolves. I know me, this is my 5th year, and I remember I said similar things as well. And every year kind of seemed to have its own unique challenges after that. But my first couple of years seemed to be the most demanding. And I always said, I'm glad that I'm getting that all out the way now. And hopefully it'll kind of be a little more, routine and, just as the years go on after that. So get it all out of the way. So,
right.
But yeah, I'm sure the areas are different too. Different regions probably have different challenges as well that a lot of guys experience versus others. So different markets and different pay scales and all kinds of things. So I've learned a little bit about that too over the years through social media and connecting with other people and knowing what's going on in their area. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe that that's how that is there, or they can't believe that's how it is where I am, and so on. So some of that's just going to be expected, but that's awesome that you've had a lot of great stuff the first year. How about you, Daniel? What lessons have you learned from year one?
Oh man, that's a very, very long list. One of the probably the biggest lesson that I learned in year one is to get intimately acquainted with your numbers, and how long. At the beginning, you're going to be way off on how long it takes you to do a job, or what you think it's going to take and how you bid it out, and you're also probably going to be way off on what you really need per hour. And this is on the mowing and the landscaping side of things. When you're bidding out that work, really put some time and thought into looking at all of your overhead expenses, all of your fuel and that stuff, but also the wear and tear on your equipment. You're only going to get a certain life out of that machine, and at the end of its life, you need to be able to replace it. So if you're only getting enough to cover what you're paying yourself in fuel and those kinds of things, then one of these days you're going to have to buy a machine that you can't afford to replace because you haven't priced properly. Early on in the year last year, we had several properties that we were really losing money on, and I didn't realize it until a little later in the year, because like this year, I have an advantage with being able to look at last year's numbers and get an idea of where I think I'm going to be this year. And every year you can start to, average that out. Your first year, you don't have anything but a guess. You're on a hope and a prayer that your guess is somewhere close. And so really get intimately acquainted with your numbers to make sure that you're profitable at the end of the year. The other probably biggest challenge that we face is expecting the unexpected and how to switch to plan B, how to change gears, how to have a day that by 10 a.m. is not going the way that you had planned for it to go, and learning how to make those decisions quickly and efficiently to figure out how you're going to finish out the rest of your day, because by 10 a.m. every day, your day is not going to go the way that you had expected it to go. That's just the nature of being a small business owner. That's the nature of this particular industry as well. You get out in the morning and you open the shop door and there's a puddle of oil under something, and you're like, well, here we go, So those are probably our biggest challenges. We're getting our numbers set where they need to be and learning that you can plan all you want, but a lot of it's just flying by the seat of your pants and figuring it out,
What's one of your biggest successes so far that you can say?
Well, I consider one of the biggest successes to be that we technically ran in the black on year one, which from my understanding, is not something a lot of companies can do. But more than that, I knew that I was in the right place and doing what I should be doing for me. The night that we did our very first new customer, our first customer that was just a customer. They weren't somebody I knew personally beforehand or anything like that. They were strictly a business customer. And the husband was pretty happy with it, whatever, when we left. About 7:30 that night, I get a text from the wife, and she's just absolutely elated with what her property looks like, and she was excited about it, and she was very thankful. And she actually referred us to a couple of neighbors, and by the next week, we had like 4 houses down the same street instead of just one. And it was in that moment that I knew that that was probably my biggest feeling of accomplishment, is a total stranger really felt like we did super quality work, and took time out of her day to thank us for that when she got home, and to go tell her neighbors, hey, you need to call this guy. You know, that was probably my biggest personal success last year.
That's awesome. There's nothing more gratifying, right, than having that. I mean, that's the best feeling, in my opinion, or one of the best feelings. So that's awesome. What about you, Kevin? What's one of your successes?
A lot of it is, real similar to his. You just get out there and just work real hard, and the next thing I know, I get calls all the time. I mean, every single day. I'm up to 70 customers now, which is nothing to write home about, but for one guy, that's quite a bit. And so, each property that you do it to the best that you possibly can every single time. And that's easy to do in the beginning. But when it gets to 112 degrees in Texas and it's in August, the true test comes at that time, is when you're out there, you're doing the same thing when it's 112 than when it's 60 degrees, and you make it look just as good. And the communication you have with the customers, is probably the biggest key to launching more and more customers that I've had. 99.9% all of my customers are referrals off of Nextdoor, all of them. And I don't advertise anywhere else. Well, I don't advertise at all. But so being able to engage with a customer, talk to them, listen to what they want, and somehow it's not like I don't see them as money. I see them as a potential friend, someone that I know, someone I'm going to cut the grass, someone that, hey, Kev, I forgot to close the gate or whatever. Could you do this for me? Or could you move this pot off the back? What? I mean, like, I don't care. So, the communication I have with people has really been, probably the biggest key to success for me, and everything has just fallen into place. And so with everything else, with all that comes from customers. So I'd have to say, I mean, there could be a lot of things, but I'd have to narrow it down to the communication and being able to do the work for the customer, the way that they expect it to be done, compared to Joe, who they don't want it to do it no more. And, and then this is why I charge this much instead of $25,
Yeah.
So that's probably my biggest success, I would say.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say, I'll interject here too, because Kevin's mentioned it twice. I spend almost no money on advertising either, and we've about doubled our customer base this year from last year. So I mean, it's not all because we received some customers in the beginning. It's quality of work and word of mouth. I think I've got $200 total in advertising, and that was for some shirts and a couple of decals for the truck, kind of thing. So for some of the new guys that might be listening, or guys that are thinking about getting started in it, or anything like that, I don't think that you've got to have this huge advertising budget and do these campaigns or these. Get out there, work hard, do a good job, and the next thing you know, the phone will start ringing. Just keep at it, and the phone will ring.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point that you brought. That's actually what I was going to touch upon. Was you, Kevin? You had mentioned the Nextdoor. So I was going to ask you guys, what successes have you had with any kind of social media? Is that really like the only kind of advertising that you've actually done to help spread word of mouth?
I know Kevin's got an answer for this one, so I'll interject my quick one. I've heard his answer to this question before, uh, but I do a little bit of social media, some pictures of our work and things like that. But another big one is ask your customers to do a referral for you on your Facebook, or whatever. Do a
Right.
review, because especially your customers that you know are really happy and they've been with you for that year or two now, and they always love your work and they throw you that tip every time, those kinds of things. Those ones are going to leave you a 5-star, 10 thumbs up, review. Ask them. Most of them are very, very happy to do that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started, I made a company Facebook page, and then I kind of messed around with my YouTube channel. Now I got like, I think 160 videos or something. They're just me, having fun on the equipment. I'm not out there trying to make money like other guys with their channel, which is kind of cool, but I just don't have time for that. But what I've noticed is, and I have a website, and really that's just the presence, so no one else could have the same name website. I don't do the last time I was on it was a year ago. All of my traffic comes from next door. And I think because the majority of the community, which is hundreds of thousands of people around here, can communicate the fastest right there. And when you have somebody that lives in a neighborhood over from you, and whether you know them or not, they're saying, hey, I'm looking for a good lawn service crew, people that are dependable, do a great job, whatever, then someone's going to refer you. And then, oh yeah, they're going to take their word than an advertisement you see on TV. And so when I started picking up on that, I immediately created a Nextdoor profile for the company. And so you add another page to that and you create it. And so every customer I get, whether it's a one-time cut, whether it's the first time I'm meeting them, it doesn't matter. The first time I do their property, I ask for, hey, where'd you hear about us? Well, they normally tell you up front where they heard about you from. But then you say, hey, when you get a chance, could you leave a review? And if you could, just be sure to tag the whole name, Texas Better Lawn Service, and then whatever you may want to say would be great, and that would help other folks in the community find great lawn service. So it's not how you say it. I'm sorry, it's not what you say. It's how you say it that actually you're able to direct how you want things to go. And I mean, I have, I don't know, 27 or 30 reviews on there. It's not a lot, but some people don't leave reviews. Not that they weren't happy, but just because maybe they forgot or they just didn't want to fool with it, or they tried, but it was confusing, which, I'm surprised the camera even worked on this thing for me. So Nextdoor is everything. I don't spend a single dollar. Last year was the first time I spent money on my truck. It was like $600 to get it partially wrapped, and it looks pretty awesome. I had 2 trailers, and I painted my other one OD green yesterday. I'm gonna do some military stuff on it, but the connection with the customers is everything. That's what leads you, because when you connect with a customer and you do their yard as if it was your yard, and that yard was going to pay all of your bills, you have to treat it that way. That customer is going to want to brag about that. That's just how people are. You get your car detailed, your brand new Dodge Ram or whatever you got, Naylor, and be like, man, dude, you want to, send props to the people who did the work, so that's how I treat every single property, every estimate that I get, that I go out and take a look. And if it's properties that I just don't want to cut because it's crappy grass or something, then I just go way up on the estimate. And then I point out a couple of things, for us to come out here, da, 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 da. And then that way, that doesn't make me look like the bad guy, because, what else you're going to say? Well, I don't really want to cut your dirt, Then that way, when they go to speak about you online, well, we did have him come out, but he was a little higher than what we could afford. That sounds a lot better than, well, he said he didn't want to cut a grass because it's crappy grass.
Yeah, and in fact, actually saying that, oh, he came out, he looked, and he seems like a great guy, or they have a great company,
Exactly right.
all great stuff, but they priced it kind of high. That almost is like something that makes more people attracted to you subconsciously.
It is. Review is key to making more money, and I've said it in one of my other videos that Echo didn't post, but reviews are everything, because without reviews, people don't know who you are, they don't know what you do, and they don't know how you do it. So I treat every day I get up, I get the kids up at 6, and then I get on the trailer and truck, and I head out at 8 o'clock after they get on the bus, and I treat every single property as if it was my only one. and everything that I have depended on it. And so that's how I treat everything. So I think that's probably why the first year and a half working 6-7 days a week, now I don't have to work so hard, you know, because I get all these calls and I get to pick the properties that I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to work a big area anymore. You know, I just work a real small area, pick the properties I want to do. That's it, man.
Yeah.
You know, all because, you know, you worked real hard and you did what you need to do that first year and a half. But I don't know.
So what's the size of your business right now as far as like accounts, like your average number of accounts, and are you
I
still
have
managing
71
employees?
accounts right now. 71 accounts. So last year, going into fall, I had 61. Now here in Texas, you can mow year round, you know, and so I say mow year round because it doesn't snow. And someone's always going to call you, hey man, can you come do a cleanup? You know, it's like 30 degrees, but you don't have to. I did some, you know, but right now I have 70 accounts, and I prefer properties that are biweekly and not weekly, because that's another thing on the review part. If I only had, say, 70 customers and I cut 70 properties in a week, which is a lot for one guy, figure 5 days a week. So I'm seeing those same 70 people. So if I have 70 and they're every other week, now I can have 140.
Yeah.
You see, so I'm still cutting the same amount every week, but here's the cool thing. You have twice the amount of potential to have more reviews, twice the amount of potential to have extra jobs, twice the amount of potential to have more referrals, more all other kinds of things. So like I don't do landscaping anymore. So instead I contract that out to my buddy who started his lawn business last year, and he does great work. I tried him on a couple landscape jobs, big $2,000, $3,000 jobs. He did real well. So what happens when a customer calls me, hey, we need you to come out and do an estimate on landscaping. Okay, well, cool. So I'll go out there and I'll take a look. If it's pretty close by, or if I can, I'll schedule time to go. And then as we're talking, I take a look at everything. I tell them, okay, hey, I'm going to have Steven come out and give an estimate on it. And then so they don't know that he's another company, you know. So what I do is I just ensure customer satisfaction by the end of the job. And so just the other day, my neighbor in the neighborhood, who I cut their grass and fertilize and everything, Steve did some landscaping, and he left the bags of mulch on the driveway, which is okay for trash pickup, but he left too much mulch per bag, so it kind of tore out. Because the next day on trash day, the trash people are like, man, what is all this? And they're like, you know, I'm out of here. So the customer called me. They're not going to call Steve. They're going to call the guy who knows, the guy that they know. So then I called Steve, and he came immediately right then, or at the end of that day, picked everything up, swept it up, and he was gone. So, you know, 70 accounts, you know, is quite a bit. You know, I could push 100 by myself, but I'm actually going to draw back down to probably closer to 50, because I got some other things that I'm doing. I'm creating a fertilizing program. So I'm actually doing applications 6 times a year on St. Augustine, different product in different times of the year. So you charge for the product, you charge for a little bit over that for your travel, and then you charge for the labor to do that too. And so what I'm looking at is getting the properties that already have really great grass, and you're getting them to look even better. And then you get more calls. Man, dude, he cuts great grass. They don't know you fertilize until they ask you, you know? Yeah. And then you can make your price go up a little bit more, because, hey, if I make your grass look like it should be in the Centerfold of Better Homes and Gardens, you know, okay, you're paying $50. All right, you can go back paying $35. It's going to look like trash in about a year and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first year and a half, I did French drain installs, sprinkler system installs, rain gutter installs, pressure washing, pergola building, fence installs. I mean, I did all kinds of stuff. Anything I could get my hands on that pertains to around the house. And then now I just contract all that out. Since I've already built the name up for that, I physically don't have to do it anymore, but I still get a piece of the pie.
Awesome. Good stuff. How about you, Daniel? What's your size company as far as how many accounts, and if you're solo or if you have any employees?
As far as how many accounts, I was thinking about that when you asked him. That's a hard one to say right now. This is our heavy bidding time. We're going to be in Central Illinois here. We're going to be into our mowing season in the next week to 3 weeks, depending on how the rain and weather goes here. Excuse me. And as anybody who's been doing this a little while knows, the phone is quiet until the last minute, and then everybody calls and wants you to come out and price and get you on the schedule. Right now, we're sitting in about the 60 regular residentials and dozen or so commercials that are signed up and ready to go on monthly setups. But like I say, that being said, I think I did 7 or 8 quotes today, that I got sent out. So that those numbers can change very quickly this time of year. As far as size, 1.5 guys work for my company. I've got myself that I work full time, obviously, and I do some stuff on the lawn side and I do some stuff on the landscape side. I've got a part-time guy that helps on the lawn side, and I have a different part-time guy that helps on the landscape side. I call them a hammer and a screwdriver. You can make a screwdriver drive a nail, but and you can make a hammer run in a screw, but you're probably going to break something either way. So they both have their very unique set of uses. Those guys do. Their talents are very specific to one does lawn stuff really well. He can out weed eat me. He can out edge me. He can, the other guy, every time he touches a weed eater, he feels like he's got to dig to China with it. So, but then they're exactly reverse on a landscape job where the guy who weed eats to China will also spread 5 yards of mulch to the other guy's one, or whatever it is. So I say 1.5 because there's me, and then there's half a guy over here and half a guy over here that work for me from time to time. But and we're growing, like I say, exponentially. I mentioned earlier, we're about twice the size this year that we were last year. So the big thing is doing quality work. And my biggest, I think it's interesting. He uses that Nextdoor as he's talking about the Nextdoor referral site. I use the Nextdoor in the sense of I literally go next door. We do a +5 system for all of our lawns. Any house that we have, we do the 2 houses directly next door to it, one on the left, one on the right, and the 3 across the street. When we pick up a house, those 5 other properties, we diligently for the first few visits try and get some exposure to those 5 neighbors after they've had a chance to see the work that we do in the neighborhood, and that's actually been really successful for us. Mow a property 2 or 3 times, let the neighbors see what you do and how you do it, and then go present yourselves to them and say, "Hi, my name's Dan. We just took over the house across the street for Janet's, whatever, and I wanted to introduce myself." We get a lot of calls from that. Most of the time, they tell you they're not interested right then. Give them a week, and the phone will be ringing. So yeah. Try and talk to the wife, because the husband will tell you, "No, it's cool, I got it." The wife will say, "No, you don't. Call the guy."
Yeah, that's good stuff. I've heard similar things about that too. That's definitely a good way to kind of get out there and market, and you're right there, and hopefully, you can something like when I've worked on the weekends, that is very key because a lot of people are home, and sometimes people are coming and going and they see the work you did, but they don't really know who you even are, who did the work. So sometimes when you do work on the weekends, they're home, and they can come up to you, or you can see them and go up to them and say, "Hey, we've been in the neighborhood for a few weeks or a few months now. Just want to know if you were interested," whatever it is that your approach is. So, but yeah, that's definitely great.
That's one of the big things that I learned in year 1 too, is we get paid to cut grass. We don't get paid to be behind the glass. If you've got 100 accounts, but you got to bounce around like a BB in a boxcar all over town to get to them, you're probably not making money. You'd make more profit at the end of the year to have 50 accounts that are all right down the street from one another than to have 100 accounts that are all over town. So, keep that in mind too. It really is worth your time to canvas a neighborhood where you already have, several accounts, and it might even be worth your time. One thing I'm learning in my second year is it's okay to fire a customer. If you've got that one property that is way out in the middle of nowhere by itself, you got nothing else around it, you've tried to get some other accounts out there around it, and nobody's really biting, maybe you need to sit down and look, are we really making enough money to make it worth driving out to that one? Or should we maybe drop that one this year and take that, that time and put it into a different area of the business that would be more profitable at the end of the day? Because let's be honest, we all like doing a really good job. We all like the gratification and that stuff, but we're in this to make money, at the end of the day, that's what it's about, paying bills,
Yeah. So wrapping up tonight, guys, Kevin, why don't you let us know what's one piece of advice that you would give anyone starting out their business or in the same you know, frame as you?
Don't be afraid to start. You don't have to have a lot of money. Don't be afraid of the rejections, that you get from people when you ask, hey, can I cut your grass? Walk in your own neighborhood. That's where I would start. And you're going to go through the national statistic. You go through 7 no's to finally get a yes. So you figure, okay, by the end of the street, you'll probably have at least 2 yeses. And just get out there and just do it. It's going to be, kind of tough, but you can't quit. If it's something you really want to do and you really want to be great at it, if it is something for you to be great at it, I have to look at it that way, then you will be great at it. And if you love it, then, the sky's the limit. So just don't quit. Just keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. What about you, Daniel? What's one thing you would give, you would offer advice to someone starting out?
Well, I have a couple, and I have to be honest. I'm going to steal them from Blake over at B&B, because these are the couple of things that really motivated me and fired me up to start my business. Do it. That's probably my biggest piece of advice. If you're thinking about starting a business in this industry, do it. Just stop thinking about it. Stop talking about it. Because you can think about it, you can talk about it, you can watch things on YouTube, you can talk to other guys all you want. But I will guarantee you, until you actually put your boots on and go out the door and do it, you're not going to learn it. You're not going to know it. You're not going to, it's a process of experience, and there's no time like right now. And for a lot of areas of the world, I mean that very literally. This is the time that people are making those purchasing decisions in a good part of the country. If you're north of Tennessee, this is the time of year that people are making that decision for this year. Go out there now, get started. The next big one is the best tool to use, because I get asked this one all the time. Well, what's the best mower? What's the best trimmer? What's the best? And Kevin kind of touched on this earlier. The best tool to use is the one you have and the one that works. It doesn't matter what color that lawnmower is. It doesn't matter what color that weed eater is. It doesn't matter what everybody else around town has on their trailers. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's making you money. And what you have in your garage is what you can use. Use it till you save up and can get something that's better. And when you are looking to make those purchases, it doesn't matter what color it is. It doesn't matter what everybody else has on their trailer. You need to decide what is the thing that works best for you on your properties, your situation. And, so do you, in a nutshell, don't be afraid to start. Go do it. Don't be afraid to fail. I've learned my most important lessons in my first full-time year by doing it wrong, by failing hard. I'm going, okay, we're not doing that again. We're going to do it a different way, and you might fail again. Don't be afraid to fail. Just go start and do you. Do it your way. Do your thing, what makes the best sense to you, and just let it grow. Be passionate about it and let people see that passion, and it will grow.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. So where can anyone find you guys on social media if they want to reach out to you or see what your work is, see some examples of your work, or, stay in touch? Where can they find you, Daniel?
We actually just started a new YouTube channel for the business. And I cannot remember what I had to rename the hashtag or the slash right now, but you can look up Hood's Cut-Rite, search it on there. It'll be there. We had some issues with the other one, so we had to start a new one. But we've got our Facebook. It's facebook.com/Hoods Lawn, and we've got an Instagram. It's @Hoods_Cut-Rite. So you can check us out on either of those and see a lot of examples of our work. And I'll be getting some of the YouTube videos and stuff posted back up here soon. So it was just over the winter we started a new channel, so I'll be getting them back up there.
Awesome. What about you, Kevin? Where can we find you?
Of course, Facebook, Texas Veteran Lawn Service, the website, but I don't really post anything. I had a Twitter, but I took that down. And then, of course, also on Instagram, but I'm going to take that down because I just don't have time. So really, the one that I'm going to keep is my YouTube, which is Texas Veteran Lawn Service. And I don't have time, to post, pictures or camera out, to get a selfie of me doing a lawn or something. I mean, I just don't have the time when I'm by myself. So sometimes I do. There's a lot more people out there. Their channels are pretty awesome. but I just fortunately, but that's where you can catch me at.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me tonight and joining everyone else on behalf of Echo Means Business and Get to Know the Pro. You
Thanks
guys
for
have a
having us.
great night. Yeah, no problem. And you guys have a great season, and I'll see you in the lawns.
You got
You
it.
too.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
good
You guys have a good night.
You too.
You too. Have a good one, guys.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, that concludes episode 2 of Get to Know the Pro on echomeansbusiness.com. Again, my name is Naylor, owner of Clean Cut Lawn Care Services, also known as Lawn Care Rookie on social media. If you like this show, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Go check out echomeansbusiness.com and check out my channel, Lawn Care Rookie, for episodes every second and fourth Saturday of Get to Know the Pro. And make sure you come back and tune in every third Wednesday of the month for Get to Know the Pro Live. Thanks, guys. You have a good night.